We're talking about the value that God sees in us, the fact that Jesus sees maximum value in each person. And it's just wild that we as Christians, we as people of, we call ourselves church, kind of try to rank each other and ourselves of how worthy we are of God's love. And so John Orozco is here this week teaching. Thank you so much for a great message. I want to ask you a little bit about what you talked about. You said that we as Christians like to be gatekeepers in a way of who is deserving of God's love and who is not. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, every gate, it implies something that you're keeping in and something that you're keeping out. And tragically, as gatekeepers, we use this powerful thing called love to do that. Keep people in and keep people out. We withhold it from people. We tell people essentially with our actions, with our inability to interact, with our constant retreat from so many parts of society, so many human beings, we say, you're not worthy of my love. Essentially what we're saying though is like at a base level, I don't like you and you're not like me and I don't know how to do this thing.
So we preach unconditional love.
We do.
But then we put conditions on it.
Yes.
For ourselves and for others.
We put conditions on it for others. We put conditions on it so that way we can pseudo-know where we stand. I'm worthy of love because I'm not like the people that I dislike. I'm not like the people who I disagree with. I'm not like them. They stand outside of this sphere of love that I exist in. And I mean, tragically, that's what we do. And that's why this series, this concentration that we'll be at for the next 3 weeks, it's a really important conversation.
It reminds me of the time when the people closest to Jesus, his friends, they've been walking with him for 3 years, and they go, hey, listen, so Jesus, we got a question. Who's going to be closest to you? When we get to heaven, who's going to be close to you? And Jesus goes, no, this value thing, like where we rank each other, this hierarchy, I don't operate like that. He said, not so with you. Yeah. The world does that, not so with you. Why do we still go there? Why do we love putting hierarchies and who's above somebody else?
I mean, we just do that, again, it's real basic. There's people we don't like, and that's so wrong. My kids, when they don't like each other, one of my boys will run into his room and slam the door to not let the other brother in. And it's a whole thing, and then you gotta go, hey, let your brother in. And,
no, but I don't like you.
Yeah, but I don't like you in the moment. So like, my solution is separation. My solution is stay out. And that's like, we're like children with that. I have to deal with that in my own heart where I act like a child. Same way, I don't understand how to let you in. And Jesus is going, man, I came to this earth because I came to express love in a way that is for all. Jesus had every right against everyone to slam the door shut. None of you are coming in. That's not the way. That's not what Jesus, and that's what he expects his church to be, the exact same way with all people, to not create this separation, and separation based on our faulty view of who should be in and who should be out, these faulty structures of value. Where did they come from?
Well, let me ask you about that. So as we're talking, and as you're teaching the church that you matter, you're valued, why could that be possibly uncomfortable for the people that we're trying to include and say, you also, and you also, and you also? Why is that uncomfortable for them?
What we're comfortable with is, I'll start there, is what's broad. You matter. Like, yeah, we get it, right? You matter. The moment you narrow a thing down to a very specific person, I mentioned in this message, my friend who's gay. The moment you say a very specific person with a very specific lifestyle that I won't abide, that's the moment where the idea of you matter, it reaches its boundaries. That's the moment where you matter and my love, again, goes, my love reaches the edge when I encounter your life. And so it's a very difficult conversation for us as a church when we specify it and when we make it specific. Because growing up, most of our messages that I've heard have been about love, have been about inclusion, have been about, hey, you matter. But the moment we narrow it, all of a sudden it's like you poke the bear.
That's not something we talk about. Have you ever been on that side, being otherized or feeling like you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I have too. And this is what I hope we as a church are really sensitive to. I'll never forget, and there's probably, I don't know, 4th or 5th grade, my teacher, Miss Rouse, and we were in Black History Month, and I'm the only black kid in my class. I think I'm the only black kid in all of my classes until I hit college. And as a 4th, 5th grader, I'm sitting in there, and she'd mentioned how this was like the last day that we were going to be talking about this thing, and I felt this like sigh of relief, and so I said, "Oh, finally!" And I'll never forget, she like corrected me in front of the class and said, "Hey, if we weren't talking about this thing, if this hadn't happened in history, you wouldn't be here in this class." And I was just too young to articulate that the reason why I said finally is because it put a spotlight on me, the only black person in this class. And that intensity of focus was really hard, even though I understood in my mind that it was important that as a country we moved into having a real conversation about what it means to treat human beings with value. It put a spotlight on me in the context of a class of all white kids. And so as we're having conversations about inclusion and we're being really specific about specific people groups, people who go, "Oh, you're talking about me right now," putting a spotlight on their lives and going, "Yes, we need to have a conversation about these things." I hope that as a church we'll have a sensitivity to go, guess what? They feel so outside and otherized and so subjected to like all of our focus right now. The best thing that we can do at a minimum is be loving, is be considerate, is create space in our hearts to understand. It would be a tragedy for us to immediately move to, yeah, but, no. Like that is not permissible as we move through this series. And so, yeah, I've felt like that. I know what it feels like. And for me, as we're moving through this series, I hope we as a church will rise to the level of empathy and love. Nothing more.
I heard you loud and clear, John. Thank you for that. And I hope that you heard that too, that you matter, that you have importance, that you have value, that you have maximum value in the eyes of Jesus. And we want to emulate that. We want to follow Jesus in those words, in those actions. And so we're going to do this together. And if you'd like to talk to somebody, please reach out to us. Next time, John, you're back again, talking about the next step in this. And I'm so glad to have somebody in this seat and helping us capture this important message, because you're so passionate about it. And so I can't wait till next time. So glad you were here. Hope to see you then.